Check 1 2 1 2. Guys, I have a story time for you. I'm back. I'm back and I'm better. I want you bad as ever. Anyways, Beetle. So this story time, guys, it's not even a story time. I just want to talk about somebody that I dated back when I was like 22. So I was 22 and I think the guy was like 21, I want to say, or was I 21 and he was 20, something like that. He was a friend of a friend and we all were like hanging out a lot, and then we just ended up building, you know, interests. So we decided to talk to each other. To be honest with you, I don't even know how that started. I guess we enjoyed each other's company to the point where he asked his friend, you know, if I was interested in him. So she asked me and I was like, yeah, he's cool. So then we started dating. So this guy, y'all, I definitely met his representative at first. And I think I dated him because he was different from the people that I normally dated, because I'm used to dating like rough people, if you know what I mean. Like people who are not so sweet. I don't know what it is, y'all, but I stay away from those types now. But this was the first guy that was actually like really nice. He was going to school, I was going to school. He had a lot going for him and he was funny, he had a good personality. Yeah, so I was like, wow, this is something different than what I normally go for, but I love his personality. We started really talking to each other, getting to know each other, and then I remember we had went to this place called Salem in Massachusetts, and we were going there because it was like around Halloween, and our school was taking us there for a field trip. So I remember that day we were just like, you know, cuddy-buddied up. We were just like so smitten with each other. It was cute. It was like a full out like all day date. So let me describe this guy to you now, guys. So this guy, he was tall, he was light skinned, he had like a straight nose, he had like, you know, the curly hair, but like hair where you could see that obviously this person is mixed with something. And he wore glasses, but he didn't always wear glasses. Sometimes he didn't wear it. But let me just describe him as, he looked like kind of not feature wise, but like he kind of reminded me of The Weeknd. And I remember a lot of people would call him Drake, like they thought he looked like Drake, but I never thought he really looked like Drake. But his hair was like, okay, his hair was like Drake during the Take Care album era. Okay, there we go. So basically he looked like he was mixed. So I remember like a lot of the times like I would make little jokes and I'd be like, yeah, cause you know black people, da da da, and he would laugh. He wouldn't really say anything, but he would just laugh and make jokes back. So here I am assuming that this guy is black, right? Y'all, I remember I asked him like, oh, so like, you know, what are you? This man tells me that he's white. He's fully white. He's white and like Irish. And I'm like, okay. I was just sitting there like, you know, I've heard stranger things. I'm like, okay. So just think about somebody like resembling Drake or resembling maybe The Weeknd. Like just think about that person. So I'm like, are you sure? Like you're not mixed with black? And he was like, no, I'm white. And I'm like, okay. So then I remember he invited me over his house to meet his parents, and I met his mom. His mom was white, and he did look like his mom. He definitely was his mother's child. And then I met his stepdad. His stepdad was white. So then I remember one day he showed me a picture of his real father, and his real father basically looked like a tall version of Ed Sheeran. Yeah, so it was like the red hair, the pale skin, and you know, I guess he had like pretty eyes, whatever. And he said, I said, wow, so what, you know, what happened to your father? And he said, I forgot, I think he said his father had died from an illness. And I'm like, oh wow, like, you know, I'm sorry, whatever. So I'm like, wow, you look like a little, you know, you look different from your dad. And he was like, yeah, like my mom told me that I get my color from my grandmother. And I was like, your grandmother? And he was like, yeah, my father's mom. My father's mom, mind you, the father looks like Ed Sheeran. All right, my father's mom is Native American. I'm like, okay. So he's like, she told me that I get my color from my grandmother. And I said, 1 + 1 is not equaling 2, but I'm gonna leave it there. That's none of my business, child. So I was like, oh, okay. All right, I believe you. Guys, this whole time I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's so weird. Like, is that really his father? Is that what's going on? Like, is his grandmother Native American? I don't know. It all seems very fishy. Okay, this is gonna sound really crazy, but like, don't chop my head off. I remember I was like helping him clean up his room because he did not know how to clean. And I had found his social security card. His social security card was literally like just laying around. And I'm like, bruh, you can't be leaving your stuff around like this because you never know what could happen. So guys, I looked at the social security card and I can't even tell you what the middle name was, but we're just gonna say the middle name was Rayshawn, okay? The name was very similar to that. His middle name was Rayshawn. He had like an average Joe, like typical white first name, and his last name was, and his last name could have been black, but his middle name was Rayshawn. And I'm like, why would his middle name be Rayshawn? That sounds so weird. You don't think that he would have had some kind of, I don't know, maybe like a Native American type middle name or like an Irish middle name, like McLaren or something like that? I don't know. But guys, I was just like, this is just getting weirder and weirder. Mind you, I never questioned him on it ever because I'm like, that's not my place. Everybody got the stuff, their own stuff in their closet that they don't want to talk about. That's none of my business. No, but guys, this guy was completely oblivious to the fact that he might be mixed with black. I remember he used to always say that, like, yeah, no, like, I'm not mixed. I'm 100% white. I'm 100% white. And I always used to sit there in my head and I'm like, I wonder why he has to say it so much. Is he trying to convince like me? Is he trying to convince other people, or is he trying to convince himself? It was very, very weird to me. So mind you, I still didn't question him on it. I don't know if I said this to you guys, or I probably did, but he had a white mom. I'm just gonna insert a few pictures here so you guys can kind of get where I'm coming from when I said he had a white mom that didn't want him to know about his identity. Just take a look at all these pictures of examples of boys with white moms and how they treat either themselves or how they treat black women or how they see themselves. Yeah, you get it. I took all of that and I said to myself, wow, like, she really is hiding a whole part of his identity from him. Mind you, she used to be in the service and so was his biological father. I don't know if something happened to where she just didn't want to talk about who his real biological father was, guys. A black man. And I could literally bet my bottom dollar that his middle name, Rayshawn, is probably the name of his biological father, y'all. There's some significance there, but he's not gonna look into it. I know that because he's convinced that he's 100% Caucasian. Anyways, so I remember this was the end of our relationship. We ended up breaking up. So we broke up. Oh, wait, rewind. He dated black women, he dated white women, he dated Hispanic women. So he dated a lot of different people. But I think his mom always like kind of side-eyed. She was nice, but I think she always kind of side-eyed him when he did bring black women in, because I feel like I wasn't the only black woman to kind of question it. I never said it out loud, but I always was like bombastic side-eye. But anyways, I remember we had broken up and I met up with his stepsister, and his stepsister was white too. And we were just talking about everything that happened. We were just talking like, you know, we should stay in touch, yada, yada, yada. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with him, blah, blah, blah. I remember asking her like, okay, can I just be like 100% real with you? I said, is his father his real father? It's just not clicking for me. And she was like, oh my gosh. She's like, girl, I don't even know. I remember asking that question too, and he told me that yes, that was his real father, and his mother told him the same thing. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one questioning it. Guys, so basically, yeah, he is in denial. He doesn't want to accept the fact that he is half black. I'm telling you guys, he's half black. And he is believing his mom when she tells him he is 100% white and that he gets his color from his grandmother. Wild. The fact that you're hiding one side of his race from him is just crazy to me. And you guys want to know what the funny thing is? Out of all of this, I remember like years later finding out that this man ended up becoming a cop. And if you know, you know. I was like, wow, that's very telling. But yeah, that's the end of my story. That was about the time I dated somebody that didn't know that they were black. Tell me if you have heard of anything like this. If you've had any type of similar experiences. Like, this was just wild to me. And the thing is, I was like, I gotta tell this story because people probably won't believe me because it was just so odd. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Bye.